Sweet. Okay. We're live.
All right, perfect. I'll see you live.
Awesome. Okay. There you go. Yeah, and then the stream elements, post in the Twitch chat. There we go. So it's like official. Okay.
Always makes it official when Stream Elements comes in and says you're live. You're like, yeah, I know. I'm
That's right.
I'm watching.
Oh.
What's up, Rise?
Hey, how's it going, Rise? All right. What was I doing? Where's my notes? Oh, there you go. Okay. All right. Are we ready?
Ready?
Okay. Welcome to episode 26 of the TCCG Roundtable. We're your hosts, dragonrider and RonMexico. How's it going today?
Hey, it's going good. How about you?
Going all right. Going all right. I probably had a little bit too much adult beverage last night. Actually, not probably. I definitely did.
Yep, yep. I know those
uh,
days.
yeah, and well, yeah, I'm paying for it this morning. So yeah, but other than that, going
Your Friday
okay.
rolled around a little bit early.
Oh man,
Yeah, I
mistakes were
feel you.
made. Mistakes were made.
Yep.
Oh no, but it happens sometimes, I guess. But yeah, I think other than that, going all right, going all right. I'm getting pretty excited. I can't believe it's 1 week. I think we talked about. Well, I mean, we talked about it a little last week, right? With
hmm
TCG Con. I looked at the website the other day, and it was single digits for this countdown, and I was like,
That's
"Oh my
right.
gosh!"
You're almost there.
Oh,
One more week.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I'm like excited, but also at the same time, I'm like, wait, I'm not ready. Still so much to do. Panic. The panic is setting in at this point. And then I'm sure probably like Thursday into Friday when it's kind of actually starting to happen. Then the excitement will come back. But right now it's just panic.
That's all right. It's the roller coaster of panic and hype. Well,
Yeah.
one moment it'll be awesome, and the next moment it'll be like, oh my God, wait, what? When? How?
Yeah. You know
No, it's
that
gonna be great.
that scene in Shrek, I think is like during the wedding or something, or when Fiona was about to marry Lord Farquaad, and then
Uh-huh.
they have like the little guards holding up the sign that says like applause. And then like, oh, or whatever. Like
Yeah,
that's how I feel right now. Just tell me like, hold up the sign, panic. Okay, when
nice.
when when can we hold up the sign for hype? Like, tell me how to feel.
Yeah, give it a few more days. Bring the hype signs back.
That's right. But there's some other things to be hyped about, I think. But do you have anything else going on before we start jumping in?
Not too much lately. Just looking forward to some upcoming Hearthstone events like the Heroic Brawl, and there's some mini set around the corner as well, which is kind of exciting. Um, but that's about all that I have on the horizon at the moment, card game wise anyway.
Nice.
No conventions for me yet, although TwitchCon maybe in like 5 months or so. It's still
Yeah,
too far
yeah.
out to really be.
It's October, like towards the end of October, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be a pretty exciting one happening in Vegas.
I mean, Vegas is always an interesting place to hold a convention.
Yeah.
Because when I go to Vegas, I don't even want to go to the convention anymore. I just want to go play poker. But it'll be fun.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair. Lots of good shows and stuff to go see too.
True.
All right. Well, Ron, you want to take us through our term of the week for this week?
Absolutely. So, term of the week. This week we're going to talk about tutor. And it's not a specific like keyword that you see in Hearthstone necessarily. A lot of other card games may not specifically use this as a keyword in and of itself, but the effect is well known to a lot of card game players. Essentially, tutoring is drawing something very specific, and it is an extremely powerful effect in card games because so often you are going to want to have one type of effect or ability, a powerful card that maybe you've built your deck around, and the tutor effect will specifically the wording of whatever is on that card that is the tutor card is going to state that you're essentially using this to draw a specific thing that you're looking for. It's often, you know, maybe made a little bit less powerful by saying, you can draw this type of minion or this type of spell or something like that. But it enables players to build their decks in such a way that they could have only that type of minion or only that type of spell or very few total cards in that pool of things that the tutor is going to pull from to essentially guarantee or almost guarantee that they use that to get what they want. And when you have, 30 cards, in the case of Hearthstone, 60 cards, in the case of Magic the Gathering, anywhere in between multiple other card games, it can be often pretty difficult to just draw the one good, important thing that you need. But cards like this with a tutor effect are very fun to use if you are the one playing them, especially because who doesn't want to do their cool, powerful thing that they built the deck around? Man, it sure would suck if you built your whole deck around this one thing and then never did that one thing. So, this is the term that I think kind of props up a lot of card games in a lot of ways because, hey, draw the thing is essentially what you could call it.
Yeah, and I think some kind of like history. The tutor and tutor effect originated with Magic the Gathering, and as you mentioned, it kind of has the term as more people have played other card games. It's kind of like permeated through other card games. So, I mean, yeah, you've heard probably like Hearthstone streamers or something say, "Okay, we're gonna tutor this." Maybe you've heard it in other podcasts. I found the uh, one card here, Enlightened Tutor from Magic the Gathering. It was an instant spell. Search your library for an artifact or enchantment card and reveal that card to all players. Shuffle your library and put the revealed card back on top of it. So, as you mentioned, kind of that searching for a very specific thing. Hearthstone has kind of done this quite a bit, as you mentioned. But yeah, it's I did not know this for a while, and I was like, "What is tutoring like?" And because I played Magic, but I didn't play it like at the high levels or
Right.
anything like that. And then I heard people talking about it for Hearthstone. I'm like, "What? Okay, I get it. I guess and so, but yeah, it kind of makes sense. And I think as there's even more new card games coming out, and more people are kind of getting into card games as some card games become more accessible to more people with the use of like online systems and even just we've talked about like Disney Lorcana, how that's probably going to attract a whole new audience who might not have ever really played card games before. Um, yeah, if you hear people talking about tutoring, that's what it is.
There you go. Very, very important and valuable thing to have in like any card game. If you got a card game without tutor effects, um, it probably won't be as fun.
Yeah. Or it'll be fun for your opponent. Probably not very fun for you.
Or maybe
Yeah,
just don't try to make a combo deck if you have no tutor effects available.
exactly. Awesome. Well, thank you. Good one. Uh, and again, like, if anybody has feedback or has certain terms or things that they'd like to hear, let us know. Love to mix in some of your terms that you want to hear about. All right. Let's get into some news. We've got some news here. Uh, First of all, just some general card game news. As I've mentioned, yeah, TCG Con in Denver is happening next weekend, May 20th and 21st. I will be there, so I am very excited. Um, I reached out to some people in the Soulforge Fusion Discord. Had a couple people interested in doing like a little interview and chatting with me while I'm there. So excited to be recording some content
Yep.
while I'm there as
Dragon
well.
Rider reporting live. Looking forward to it.
That's right. That's right. So yeah, very excited for that. Um, for Hearthstone, patch 26.2 launched, which brought in Battleground Season 4 with tons of changes, like huge changes, and a whole like rollout system of adding in the minion types along it's like a 2 week kind of path. Over 2 weeks, they're adding stuff in. And then they also announced an upcoming Heroic Brawliseum starting May 17th. So that's next Wednesday. We are going to dive a little bit more into that for our main topic. So we're not going to really touch on that anymore here. Moving into Flesh and Blood, the Dusk Till Dawn booster set was announced. It's a huge milestone with it being their 10th booster set released since the game launched in October of 2019. It's the first time that they're bringing back a living legend hero with Prism. You've got a couple new variations. They are set for their card preview season for a weekend, Friday, June 30th through Sunday, July 2nd. And then the War of the Monarch pre release events will be in stores from July 7th through the 9th. And then the game will actually launch on Friday, July 14th. So still a little ways out, but pretty neat that they've kind of put that info out like well ahead of time, announced some stuff, and kind of started getting that hype going with some dates that everyone can look forward to. And then for Marvel Snap, they've been doing some kind of like weekly updates. Uh, this week's was May 11th, their OTA weekly patch, which is over the air. I think is what they're actually referring to that. I did not realize. Honestly, I had to look. I was like, "What is OTA?" I had to look it up. And it can mean multiple different things apparently, but Marvel Snap is referring to this as over the air. So May 11th, over the air weekly patch released with changes to Drax, Rockslide, Enchantress, and Venom. Plus, they also did reduce the appearance rate for 7 locations. They mentioned that with how many locations they're having in the game now, because they keep, adding more, they kind of want that feel of the variety to make sure that it's still there. So they don't want some of the locations to appear like all the time and then, not see some of the other ones because they're getting so many. So they put that in. We'll have the links for those, but I believe that there's also these weekly patches are also in addition, like they're testing it out to see how it goes and kind of the community feedback over the whole month. But these are in addition to like their monthly patch. So that's a lot of changes
True.
that's happening. Like
Yeah,
there's a lot going on.
I've been playing a decent amount of Marvel Snap in my off time, and I haven't paid attention to like any of the news, and just randomly I'll get like surprised when I see because they don't do like the Hearthstone thing where when you log into the game client, it pops up these cards have changed. No, just you need to have already known about them, or you're not gonna have any idea. So like
Oh.
One of
Hmm.
the other time, it was like they changed Arrow a while back, and I played Arrow, and it didn't do what I expected it to do, and I was like, "What the hell?" And I like had to read the card, and it happened again with like a different card that got nerfed, and I played it, and I'm like, "Why is this not working?" And then I
Oh
read that card, and
no.
I'm like, "Oh, they changed that too." And then like just I think a couple days ago, an opponent played Enchantress against me, I think. And I was like, wait, that looks different than it used to. That does that have more attack? I was like, when did that like just it's kind of funny if you're not like totally plugged in to keeping track of the news or like looking at the news when you're in there. You'll just occasionally organically discover that hey, this card isn't exactly the same as what you remember it being. Uh, but overall, I mean, it doesn't have like a huge impact on gameplay experience just because the games are pretty quick. So, and it's not like there's a whole lot of stakes in like a single game. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, I should probably know that going forward, and then you're fine. But kind of a funny thing.
Oh, that would be depending on the card or the I guess some of the cards, if that's like important to your deck, I don't know. I feel like that could be a very jarring experience. Just like
Yes.
randomly logging
Yeah.
in, okay, let's just play, and then being like, well now I can't even like play this card, or like
Like,
this
oh,
deck doesn't work the same
my deck's
now.
bad now. Uh-oh.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh no. Oh. All right. Well, that's all I've got this week for news. I guess I could mention for MTG and MTGA the oh gosh, March of the Machine just launched this week as well. So that is live and you can now be playing that. So we're good to go. That is
Nice.
all the news that I have. What do you got for competitive and organized play?
All right. Well, in competitive and organized play, Magic had a pro tour this last weekend. And tell me again how to pronounce his last name. Nathan
Steuer.
Steuer. Okay. I thought it was Steuer. Nathan Steuer won the pro tour this last weekend for Magic the Gathering. So pretty impressive performance. And And in Yu-Gi-Oh news, we've got the next Yu-Gi-Oh Championship Series event taking place in Cancun. That's September 16th through 17th. You still have plenty of time to prepare and make it for that one. Uh, in Legends of Runeterra, competitive and organized play, you've got the Runeterra Open Worlds qualifier this weekend. Day 2 coverage on Twitch and YouTube with broadcasts for Asia Pacific, EMEA, and Americas. Not a whole lot of other things right now in the competitive scene, but we're kind of in the cycle where it sort of dies down a little bit at this point, especially with some finalists just coming through, and we'll be looking forward to some competitive and organized play results in the near future.
You know how sad I was for Hearthstone, I guess. I was typing in and looking at that. I'm like, oh, I remember when Hearthstone had the regional broadcasts and
Yeah.
casters. Oh, man. Oh,
Remember when the Master
oh,
Stores had like 400 something players in them instead of 16? That
yeah.
was cool. Yeah.
Oh, no. But I mean, I'm hyped for the Runeterra, and you know that I mean, they've really kicked up their competitive stuff a lot. So this year, you know, huge competitive changes to their system and everything that they're doing over there. So exciting to see that. And I will be trying to check out the day 2 of that. The kind of weird thing is that so with this weekend, with that being this weekend, right? The day 2 is on Sunday, which also happens to be Mother's Day.
Mm.
So I'm like, I want to watch that stuff, but also I might have to try to just catch the VOD because I'm gonna be spending the day with my mom. So, hmm,
Priorities. That's good.
yeah. But
Unless you
yeah,
could talk your mom into watching it.
you,
But,
you know,
probably
I
wants to do other things on Mother's Day.
yeah, we're gonna play some like board games and do some stuff like that. But I keep saying this, and I think we mentioned it at one point, when it was Tachi and I. But at some point, we will need to get my mom on the show
True.
because she was a Magic judge for a while. She was a competitive player. She played at some pro tours, and some like I can't remember what regional events, or I'm not sure what they were called exactly. She owned a card game store and all that stuff. So we're gonna have to have her on at some point.
True. It's
Um,
pretty awesome resume she's got there.
that's
I don't know.
right.
Do you have enough of it in with this potential guest though?
I hmm. I might have to work a little charm, but I think I
Right.
can. I think I can pull it off.
All right. Fingers crossed.
Okay, yeah. Maybe I'll bribe her with coffee. Her and I are a lot alike. So, if I just say, "Hey, I'll buy you some coffee if you come on the show." I mean,
Nice.
she'd be like, "Okay, let's go." But yeah, we'll have
Yeah.
to do that at some point.
We're looking forward to that episode.
Yes. Oh. But yeah, anyways, that's sorry, my roundabout way of saying sad that there's no like multiple regional broadcasts for Hearthstone now. But yay for
Yeah.
Runeterra.
Hooray for Runeterra. Yep, we'll leave it at that. Uh, but as we are, talking about things Hearthstone, which we often circle back to, it is um, almost exclusively the game that I play. Although, at least Dragon Rider, you have a broader, sphere of engagement with other card games. Hearthstone takes up a more time of mine than it probably should, but it did inspire today's topic of the week as well, where we want to talk about rewards and in-game events. And this kind of came about because we were thinking about all the different things associated with Heroic Brawl that is going to be coming out on the 17th, I believe. You said that right? The 17th?
Yep.
Yes, May 17th. So in just about 5 days, Heroic Brawliseum is coming back. And this is something we often see Hearthstone do just before a mini set comes out. And of course, there is a specific reason for that. Um, but it is pretty exciting to also look at some of the very incredible looking rewards for the better you perform. And I believe that this is one of the first times, maybe the first time, that we've ever seen a reward specific, like a hero skin, a cosmetic specific to a particular performance in Heroic Brawliseum. And that is the Crimson Knight Psy hero skin is something that you can only get if you win 12 games in a Heroic Tavern Brawl. And the population of players that reach 12 wins is quite small. So this will be, I would have to say, this would be the most exclusive hero skin in the game.
Yeah. So, a little bit of background for those who might not be familiar with the Heroic Brawliseum for Hearthstone. What it is a paid entry event. It usually runs, is it only a week long? Sometimes they might do it for 2 weeks, but
Yeah,
um,
typically I think it's just a week.
I think so. Yeah.
They're probably going to have the mini set come out right after it ends, I think. There might have been a season before where maybe it was like 2 weeks long or longer than a week, but I think typically it's a week.
Okay. Yeah. So it is a paid entry. You can either use in game gold, 1,000 in game gold, or you can pay, I believe it's $10, right? So 10 US dollars to enter. What you do is you will build a deck. It's constructed. It'll be standard, so standard format. You'll build your deck and then you lock that deck in so that you cannot change cards during it. And then it is very similar to the way an arena run works, essentially, or the drafting for Hearthstone, where you have that deck locked in, you queue up that deck into other players, and then you start getting paired based on your number of wins. You basically you play until you either hit 12 wins, which is the maximum wins, or 3 losses, whichever one happens first, and then that's the end. There are prizes based on your win record, um, and it varies all the way from like 1 pack. I think if you get like no wins, you still get 1 pack.
Hmm.
And then all the way up to if you get to 12 wins, you get like a what is it? It's like
An
crazy
enormous
number of
amount of things.
huge
So
amount of packs.
50, you get 50 card packs.
There
You
you go.
get 1,100 dust and 1,100 gold. And the entry fee is 1,000 gold. So hitting 12
Yeah, I think
wins
you also get
is.
like 3 golden legendaries as
Oh,
well.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
3 golden legendary cards. Yeah, just don't forget about
Just
that.
yeah.
That's also
Yeah.
either a lot of potential dust or a lot of shiny that you
Yeah.
can show off. But it's a very rewarding achievement to hit to that 12 mark. But crucially, even if you get 11 wins, your gold reward is 480. Your dust reward is 480. You do get 2 golden legendaries and 16 card packs. So you definitely have a big reward for 11. But 12 is dramatically more of a substantial reward than 11 wins. And 12 wins is the only win total that you can actually have your entry fee essentially reimbursed. Because the amount of gold you'd have to spend on that is 1,000, and only 12 wins gets you 1,000 plus. Um, which just by its very nature means if you're playing Heroic Brawliseum, be prepared to wind up with less gold than you had to begin with. Expecting 12 win runs is highly optimistic. We'll go with that.
Yeah. So it's a very interesting thing. It's not. I would say most players don't even typically play in it because of that entry cost. Now, 1,000 gold is kind of hefty for the average player. To kind of put it in perspective, buying 1 pack with gold is 100 gold. So that is essentially 10 packs worth of gold. Or looking at like mini set, you can buy mini sets usually with gold, and those are 2,000 gold. So that is half of a mini set right there. And it can take a little while for like I would say the average player to kind of build up that gold. Especially if they are more of a free to play and don't usually spend a lot of money, they might spend that gold on actually getting packs and stuff to try to have cards to play. Or they might not play as much. They might be, kind of a little bit more casual, not like us who are playing, 8, 10, 12 hours a day sometimes, right? So they're probably not working through like the gold on the reward track, as quickly. So it
Right.
might take them a bit longer to build up that gold. There are things like this in quite a few card games, I would say, especially the digital ones, where there is events or different things that are like an entry fee that might be, different currencies depending. But this is something that only comes around, every several months. In some of the other card games that might be a little bit more consistent, they might have them like, kind of buy-in type events or tournament type things on a more consistent, regular basis. So for Hearthstone, it has started to become more consistent, but again, it only comes around every several months, maybe. Um, it is kind of regarded as something that typically only more like hardcore players will play in, or players who feel confident that they can do at least decently well. As Ron mentioned, it is pretty difficult to get that, max 12 wins. Um, but there still are some people who really enjoy doing it. I will say I am one of those people. I don't expect to get 12 wins. I have done it before. But I if I get 6 or more, like, I'm pretty happy. um,
Well,
but
even 3, there is
mhm,
a reward for 3, which is nice.
yeah.
And it's
Hmm.
also an exclusive hero skin, but much more accessible, of course, than the 12 win. There's the new Frostmonger Sai Death Knight hero skin, and if you've won 3 games in the upcoming Heroic Brawl, and it's also across any number of runs. So
Yeah.
you don't even have to have a 3-win run. You could have a 1-win run and a 2-win run and still get this skin. And that's kind of nice to have like a lower level of requirement to still get a cosmetic there.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Um, for me, I really enjoy the heroic brawlseums. I have from the very start. Um, Again, not that I expect that I'm going to be like the best, or that I'm going to like get 12 wins, or go 10 to 12 wins every single time. But for me, it is the closest thing that Hearthstone has to an in-game competitive thing, right? It's like the closest that we have to a competitive tournament mode um, in the game, without having to, like, oh, okay, I gotta go make some bracket on some other website and then add somebody on
Yeah.
my friends list and play against them. Like, and the rewards are all immediate in the game. So that's like, I love that because it's something that I can choose to do. Again, the entry fee is pretty hefty for the average player, so a lot of people don't do it. And then, yeah, if you don't have a good collection, or you're not kind of at that higher level, maybe it's not something that's good for you. So there's a couple of things that kind of have been brought up by the community in regards to this heroic brawlseum, and this specifically the 12 win portrait, because this is the first time that they've done this. Some people are saying that as like a collector of like the portraits and the cosmetics, that they do not like this, because again, they have to then pay to enter this brawlseum. They have to go all the way to 12 wins in one run, and then they can get that. And it's only a week long. So there's kind of multiple, things that are a hindrance for someone who is a collector. I feel like the amount of people who are collecting all of those is pretty small, honestly. I would say that, like, overall, I would say people who are upset because they can't get this is still probably a pretty small portion of the player base. But I know a lot of people still want to be able to collect those things. So, what do you think of just having this as like a potential, kind of skill-based type thing in the game?
I think it's a really cool idea to have one specific exclusive thing based on how well you did. Um, would people be upset if they introduced a skin that came out if you hit rank 1 legend before? It's a similar kind of concept. It's behind more of a paywall, obviously, because there's an entry fee, and then you have to do well in, um, you know, 12 out of 14 games maximum, essentially. So you have to have an extremely high win rate, and variance can hit really hard in a game like this, especially in a mode like this. to where even really good, deserving players might not wind up getting to that 12 win total over multiple runs. But I mean, I personally don't really mind because it's just a cosmetic. Um, and the population of players who are like, I need to have all of the cosmetics, at any cost is kind of very small. Um, but those are players that support the game immensely in a lot of ways. So it's a tough debate to have on whether or not that should exist. Although I do think that it's highly likely that Hearthstone just later on will introduce this cosmetic that you can get for the 12 win brawl. They'll probably let you buy it with gold in, like, 6 months or 3 months or something down the road. And honestly, I don't entirely get, like, some of the obsession with like different cosmetics that you can have, because yeah, it looks really cool and fun to have for how long before you forget that you even have it and maybe don't even use it ever again sometimes because you have like one that you like more already. Or you might what's really cool with Hearthstone is they do have like a favorites setting, so you can cycle through different hero portraits on a class and it'll just randomly pick one of your favorites. I really enjoy doing that, but I already have, enough in almost every class that it's not really important to me. So I'm conflicted. I'm conflicted because I like the idea of something that's very exclusive if you did really extremely well and something that is very hard to obtain. Hey, look, this is a reward I got specifically for doing something that's really hard to do. It's similar to the golden card back in some ways that you get for high level finishes at official Blizzard events. Are collectors complaining about that too? Hey, how come I can't get the golden card back? I'll pay you for it, you know? Like, I don't know. Maybe there should be some things that can't be obtained by just money.
Yeah. One argument that I've heard for that is that it's different with the card backs versus the hero portraits. Um, because I guess kind of the feeling that I've seen from some people is that the hero portraits have pretty much all been things that you can obtain without having that, whereas the card backs they already had. Um, or this is like I've seen some people saying, well, this is the first hero skin that you can't just get in the shop. But also, I'm like thinking back to Taronda skin or like that first Lady Liadrin skin that you had to go play World of Warcraft to get.
Oh yeah,
Um, yeah, so like I don't feel like I understand that thinking because I think people have forgotten that there are skins that you obtained somehow else besides just paying for it in the shop. Um, and the way that Hearthstone and honestly a lot of these games have kind of this mix of how you obtain stuff, I'm not surprised that they put this in. I, I'm kind of surprised honestly that there was a skin like this that it took this long, I guess, to put in something like
right.
this.
Yeah, that's fair.
Uh, because I've kind of felt like that's the road that they're on. So like I'm not surprised one bit at it. Um, I will say though, like I think people would be less upset if there were something like this. Like if they said, okay, you get this if you're whatever, even say like top 50 or top 20 legend. If you finish, top 20 legend in a season, you get a skin or something.
Right.
Because to me, that's more accessible in a way, right? Okay, I'm not someone who can go and get. I don't think I will ever be able to get rank 20 legend. But maybe I have a chance at this Brawlseum. But the thing is again, we said there's the buy-in fee, and it's a very limited time.
Right.
So because of both of those and then the skill factor, it just feels like there's a lot of layers to it, which I don't think is good.
Right.
If you
It's
do
a
something,
double barrier
yeah,
to obtain it.
exactly.
It's
You know,
not just, the skill and the time, but it's
yeah,
also the actual monetary investment or in-game
yeah.
currency investment at least.
I mean, you could put in $20, let's say, if you just okay, $20, you bought, I don't know, whatever. Or even if you said $50, let's say $50, you bought like one of the pre-order things, you disenchant a bunch of stuff, you're kind of free to play, you spent the $50 and you just try to build as best of a meta deck as you can, and you're really good at card games, you can climb, you can hit legend, whatever with that deck. Okay. And as you move through the reward track, you can buy your card packs, you can do that kind of stuff. And even if it takes you 2 months, let's say, to get that, you could do it. But again, yeah, this is limited to a 1 week thing. You have to do the buy in. I'm kind of also thinking there have been some really special rewards for doing well in some of the solo content, right?
Mhm.
It's like card backs and special stuff. I know a lot of people worked really, really hard on like beating the Lich King and going through that with all of the classes to be able to get that exclusive stuff. But that's accessible all the time. For me, if they just made, I mean, I also like Heroic Brawliseum. So there might be a little bias here. But if Heroic Brawliseum were just like a permanent mode that you could go in at any time and try to get that, I feel like that would alleviate at least some of the like feelings there, right? That, okay, it's not, it's not like I have to go this week and oh crap, work is super busy and now I'm going to have to try to force myself to do this in the middle of stressful time at work or, you know, nope, well, no family time for this week because I need to grind for this, hero
Yeah.
portrait like, or
But I
they just,
mean, where
so
where are your priorities at that point? Like realistically, like it's just a one little cosmetic in the
sure.
game,
But
you know.
again, there are people who like they really want those cosmetics. And I feel like the time limit is the huge thing here. Whereas everything
Mhm.
else, the solo content stuff, like I said, or even you could probably still even go get that Liadrin thing. I don't know if that was a limited time, but
Yeah, I
like,
have no idea.
because I also remember that that was something that was upsetting with the Tyrande skin for a lot of people. It was like it was only like a 2 week promo thing, and then it was only for people in like the United States or something. So then people in Europe were like, well, that sucks because now I can't get that. And it was like this huge thing. So I think trying to I like that it's still an exclusive thing because you still have to do well, but I think if it were just slightly more accessible to more people in terms of like the time length or something like that, then I think there would be a little bit less frustration about it.
On the other hand, though, the exclusivity of it, the difficulty of obtaining it is part of its appeal at the same time. Um, more people might want to play the heroic brawl because they could be one of the people. Hey, you remember that one time they did this heroic brawl and you had to get 12 wins? I'm one of the few people who got it, and that's why I'm using this skin in this game, and you don't have it because you didn't do that.
Yeah.
That's like an achievement that someone can hold up as evidence that they did something really impressive in the game, and that has a lot of value for people. So overall, I do really like it. I like the idea, the concept of having that, and it's not like a card, It's not like something that's actually going to impact the gameplay in any way. It's literally just how one of the classes that you might choose to play out of 11 looks if you choose to select that specific skin. You
Yeah.
mentioned the possibility of like, what if Heroic Brawl was around all the time? That to me, like that would be awesome. except for the gold requirement. Due to it being limited time, more people play it, so you don't have like really long queue times or something. If they made it something similar to Arena for an entry fee and rewards, and just a mode that was around all the time, I would think that that would be so cool. Just because what I love about Heroic Brawliseum is how it takes it takes all of my favorite parts from Arena, which is, try to reach that 12 win run before you lose 3 times. And you get all these extra rewards in, dust and packs and gold and whatnot. But then it removes the thing that makes playing Arena feel awful, which is here's a random draft. Hope your cards aren't terrible. Good luck with that. Like, you get to actually make your own deck. You choose all of the cards that go into that deck so it can be actually good. And then you can play and test yourself against, other people who are trying to do the same thing. It's a really exciting, fun event. I always have a lot of fun in Heroic Brawliseum whenever like the event rolls around. But it is something you just got to be really careful with when it comes to the gold that you're spending. You run out of gold, you can't play it anymore unless you want to spend real money. Start spending real money on something like this that has a very low chance of a significant, return for what you're investing. Things get dicey quick.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just kind of one of those interesting things where there definitely is appeal for the mode itself. There's appeal for this reward, as you mentioned, that kind of that prestige. I think a comparison here could even be that legend card back. For a while,
Oh yeah.
especially kind of early on, right? Everyone was like, "Oh man, that person has the legend card back. They're so good." Like that's awesome. Now it's kind of just like, okay, it's a legend card back. Who cares?
It's also super boring looking, the legend card back.
That's
Like, I never
yeah.
use it because it looks so boring.
So that
But
that
when
was
I
gonna be my next
yeah,
point too. Is like
yeah.
honestly, I don't think that this skin is all that like it doesn't look that great to me. I'm just
Yeah,
like,
it's just like,
it's
it's
just kind of
okay.
average, right?
Like,
Like,
how often would you use it? Like, I mean,
yeah,
it's kind of cool,
you
right?
would
But
use it just for the like, I got this
yeah,
kind of
exactly.
exclusive thing. That
It's a prestige skin. It's not
yeah,
actually like, oh wow, look at how incredible this skin looks.
exactly. And I think there have been things like that in even in Hearthstone before. Yeah, we have Math Magical mentioning again that the Arthas skin from doing the solo content, right? Use that a bunch, and then they came out with Finley, and then it's like, oh, okay, well this one's cooler. I'm gonna use this now.
Right?
And that legend card back, like again, for a while it was like this prestige type of thing. And I think even the Golden Celebration card back was like that for a little while. And that one is even more prestigious now, for sure, than the Legend card back. But I think as a lot of us have played and, kind of see that, you see it on maybe people's streams, at this point it's like, okay, it's kind of losing the appeal a little bit, just over time.
Yeah.
And I'm sure this will kind of probably be the same too. But yeah, it's not some like super like, oh, this is amazing and everybody wants it. It's just kind of like, it's just kind of like an average portrait. So I think it's totally fine to have things like this. And I think there have been things like this in Hearthstone anyways. Not even to mention other games, but I think a lot of card games, again, especially the digital card games, have things like this. And it's really just, I think, about balancing all of those pieces that we talked about, right? Like the kind of balancing the prestige of it versus like the time versus the money cost versus, all those different pieces where how prestigious do you want to make it? How, affordable or not? Do you want it to be a time investment for people? Like the solo content where it just probably takes you a while to just sink a bunch of time in to beat the Lich King with all of the different classes, or is it more of like a money thing? Like this, I would say, is probably more money and then some skill on top of that as well. But
Right.
where, how do you balance all of those different aspects? But in terms of the like amount and the buy-in, again, a lot of other card games have this as well. There are very similar things always happening in like MTGA. They always have these kind of events, buy-in type things. Also, kind of with the play until you get 3 losses, and there's different like rewards along the way. Seen that. I think Eternal has like a monthly thing where you buy in every month, and each week you get like packs that you open and you build decks based on that. You play, and there's like rewards again along the way, and based on how well you do. So I would definitely say like a lot of these other card games also have these types of things. I think this is kind of the first time where Hearthstone has done something like this together in terms of, again, all those pieces.
Right.
So I don't know. I feel like I saw a lot of negativity, at least at first, related to it, but we've talked about this before as well in terms of like potential patches or, what's happening. There's also just that perception from the community, right? That's another piece. What does the community perceive to be something that is it valuable for them? And of course, when you get a variety of players, right? Like we said, this is probably not something that just like the average person is going to want to do or work for, but some people really love Heroic Brawl.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a lot of people that just play like one, you know, because okay, sure, I'll throw away 1,000 gold and hope that I get, something like a really good run, and I'll do my best to succeed in it. And there's a chance that you could hit that 12 win and get like some really cool, awesome reward, and that's gonna have a lot of appeal for people. Um, but also just the 3 win one, you get an additional skin regardless, and there's a chance to get some decent rewards out of that. Um, as far as like the type of people that are playing multiple heroic brawls, it's usually a bit of a different segment of the Hearthstone population than the ones that might be like, yeah, I'll throw down for one, and just give it a try. And I don't know, overall, like if there's achievement hunters and collection hunters, like those are kind of the type that you often, they have a bit more time or disposable income. And I'm in favor of like, if you really want a cosmetic, and there's some challenges to unlock it that involve like paying real money for it. Like, I don't know, I'm really glad that the card game that I want to play helps fund itself with things that are not essential to the game. Like, it doesn't matter if you have a cosmetic in any way when it comes to gameplay. It's strictly just like your own desire to have shinier things in your collection. Uh, so by all means, please make sure that your game is profitable by charging for things that aren't significant to gameplay. That's the way I want the game to be funded.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And now I think that they have definitely been doing that. Uh, more so in the last year, I would say, than they were
Mhm.
before. Um, yeah, it was very much again like all of the card games kind of do that. Right? Magic the Gathering, you have like
Yep.
a whole shop filled with the card sleeves and then gems that you can go in and buy the gems, which I guess for Hearthstone now would be equivalent of like runestones. Um, so it's again like this is nothing new. I think a lot of this stuff is just kind of every time I see this, I'm like, yeah, but these other games have already been doing this for like 3 years. you know, it's just when something is new to a game or new to a community, that's when you kind of see like, oh, this pop up, which that's another reason why it's so interesting being kind of at least dabbling in multiple communities and multiple games like this because I see the, the progression. I'm like, okay, here's something introduced in Magic. Oh, okay, here it is. Now something very similar in Hearthstone. Then down the road, up, okay, look, now it's in
Yep.
Runeterra or whatever, and then it's like, okay, oh, there's that reaction. Oh, next time, up, there's that same reaction. Next card game, up, there's that same reaction
Yeah.
again. Yep,
Yeah.
yep, yep. Okay, been through this before. Um, but yeah, I'm pretty excited for this Brawl Sim overall. And I just think a lot of these in-game events and stuff are really cool. They've been doing other, the in-game events that they're actually calling like events themselves, that are much more easy to achieve. They usually have what, like 3 rewards or something, like a pack, a little card, you know, like one of the most recent ones they had, what, it was like a card pack, and then you got a signature version of a card, and
Right.
then maybe a skin or something too. So they've had those, but those are very very accessible usually. I know I just worked through as much as I could. Uh, I think I got almost halfway through it, but I did end up paying for that as well. In Legends of Runeterra, they had the Dragonmancer event that lasted for several weeks, and that had its own like reward track. There were some free things along the way, but then you could buy the pass or whatever and get additional things as you worked
Right.
through that. So I don't know. I think this is it's kind of just on par and in line with all those other things that a lot of the card games are doing. The other thing I don't know if you wanted to mention was the timing of this, how they kind of time the heroic brawls with upcoming mini sets.
Yes. So that is very calculated. Absolutely. And players should very much be aware that one of the significant reasons, maybe the only reason for the timing of Heroic Brawl being what it is that, it is specifically designed to extract maximum profit from the game for Blizzard and for what Hearthstone does. So, uh, most players, a lot of players, if they're accumulating gold over the course of their run playing Hearthstone, and they have some excess gold, or they know anything about the expansion cycles and everything, it is a very smart, valuable thing to do most of the time. Like probably the singular best value you can get for your gold is spending 2,000 gold on a mini set when it comes out. And Heroic Brawl comes out typically lately now, whenever they introduce it, just barely before the mini set will be released. So it is intended for most players, because most players will not hit 12 win runs, to spend said gold and no longer have any gold reserves. Because you've been playing Heroic Brawl and you've been trying to achieve that shiny reward and get those 12 wins and get the cool new heroic skin and all these other things. Um, well, Heroic Brawl's over now, and here we go. A couple days later, hey, there's a new mini set out. You want to play with these new cards, right? Why don't you spend your gold for it? Oh, you don't have any gold? Oh, well, you can spend real money then. So it's a very like clever design constructed to do that, and I get it. Like the game needs to make a profit, but I think it's just something that all players really need to keep very much in the forefront of their minds before Heroic Brawl rolls around. And that can be really frustrating in a way to people who are trying to be free to play. Hey, there's this really cool game event and you can get some fun rewards out of it, but also it's super risky with the amount of resources that you have to spend, because if it doesn't go well, all of a sudden you're either playing from behind because you can't afford the mini set and the new cards that come out with that, or you're having to actually spend some money there. Um, that's something I just, as long as you go into it, with wide open eyes and you understand what's happening with the timeline of things, you can set responsible limits on yourself. But something to be very, very aware of.
Yeah. I will note as well that one thing that I think slightly might maybe makes up for some of that is the fact that you can get those mini set cards from the expansion packs after the mini set comes out.
True.
So, even if you do end up, maybe using all of your gold and you're like, oh, I don't want to pay $20 for the full mini set to have that instant access to all of the mini set cards, which is what, like 48 cards? Something around
Something like
there.
that. I
I
can't
think
remember
with
exactly,
Death
but
Knight
I think
now.
you're
Yeah.
I think you're close.
Um, then you can still open those in the expansion packs. So, especially if you maybe got the like pre-orders or got some packs when the expansion came out, you have a lot of those cards with the duplicate protection as well that they have added, um, especially with the commons and rares, right? You're
Mhm.
gonna be able to get those from the mini set pretty much instantly, because those are the easiest to get. So if you've opened even a okay-ish amount, I would say even like what 60 packs probably for the expansion, you're probably gonna have all the commons and probably pretty
Right.
close to all the rares. So you can open a couple of those packs and start getting the mini set cards pretty much right away. Um, Maybe you're not really going to open epics or legendaries, especially if you didn't have all of them from the expansion already, but still a good chance to at least start getting some of those cards. So I do think that that's pretty neat. And if there is even just one pack, even if you don't get any wins in the Brawliseum, that's not a good investment if you get no wins. Of course, 1,000 gold and you get one pack.
Yeah.
You would
Just
want to just go buy that one pack.
just a pack that costs 10 times what it normally would
Yeah.
cost.
Um,
But it isn't too
but
common to have 0-win
yeah,
Brawliseum runs. That's if you have more than one 0-win Brawliseum run, then you should maybe reassess your plans for playing Brawliseum.
yeah, yeah. But I do think that they have made changes to just the way that earning cards and being able to get those from the packs and like that duplicate protection that I mentioned, does kind of offset some of that at least. So there still is a way to try to get some of those cards pretty easily,
Absolutely.
outside of that. So if you're somebody who like, hey, I kind of want to do the Brawliseum just because, if you don't need cards, if you pitch in for the Brawliseum, you earn some packs, and you don't need the expansion cards right away, and you are looking at that mini set that's going to be coming out soon after. We don't know. They haven't announced the mini sets, or date or anything, so we don't know like when exactly that's coming. But it does follow usually,
Yeah.
within a week or two. I
If
would
you
say
look at the
after.
pattern, it's highly likely that it would be, Heroic Brawl from the 17th to the 24th, an announcement
Yeah.
of mini set, or mini set just getting released and available anywhere from like the 25th to the 31st. So
Hmm.
extremely likely before
Yeah.
the end of the month we'll have a new mini set here, and I'm expecting probably about 2 weeks from now ish is when we should see it.
Hmm. So, if that's the pattern, that's the case, then you can maybe play the Heroic Brawlseum, maybe get a couple packs. And again, if you don't need those cards immediately, or you have an okay-ish amount of the expansion cards already, then you can just hold those packs for a week or so, and then, or 2 weeks if you play like early when the Brawlseum first starts, I guess, just to
Y-
cover that,
you might have to do that because you got TCG Con right during
I
the
know.
the time of
Yeah.
the Brawliseum. You're gonna
I yeah.
you're gonna
I
have
will
no time.
probably play that first day when it
Yep.
comes out. Um, but then like if you know that hey, you want some of those, you could save those packs too. Wait till the mini set launches, then open those packs and they'll be in there. Which is great. Now, I am curious as we start to like wind this down. Will you be playing the Heroic Brawl Ron, and how much do you think that you will play in it?
Absolutely, I'll be playing it. Um, I'll play one run on my Asia server, which is my free to play account, or free to play server, I guess, because I kind of just pour everything into my main on Americas, and I'll do one run there and hope that it's good because I think I have just enough gold reserves there to where I can manage like one run, and even if it's bad, be okay to still get the mini set when that rolls around. And then on Americas, at least two runs, maybe more. I usually try not to overdo it on the Heroic Brawliseum, but I probably want to stream like one of the runs, and multiples just gets like little excessive with the amount of gold investment that's needed unless I actually, have a 12 win run early. For every 12 win run, I'll probably play it again, right? Cuz it refunds your
Yeah.
buy-in fee and you get
Yeah.
a ton of extra rewards and it's like, yeah, okay, I'll go again until I don't have a 12 win run, but realistically, uh, 12 win runs are very rare and extremely difficult to do. So probably maximum like 3 to 4 times. But it's a fun thing to do and it's a fun event.
Yeah.
What
I
about
will
you?
definitely, yeah, I will definitely be playing in it as well. Like, like I said, I love the Heroic Brawliseum. I
Yeah.
feel like it is like the competitive, tournament mode that we have. Like
Yeah.
that's it. So I'm like, okay, any chance I
Yeah.
have to play like an actual kind of tournament in the game, I'm like, let me do it. Um, I am almost at 3,000 gold, so I will be doing 3 rounds
There
because
you
I'll
go.
make sure that I get the. I will just dump all my gold.
And then you're like, all right, fine. I guess I'll
Because
just buy the mini set when it comes out
no,
if
I
you run
think I
out.
have a majority of the expansion, so I'll just open the packs,
Oh, hey,
and
nice.
get the
That
mini
works too.
set because I think that I can actually do that pretty reasonably. So
That is
yeah, I'm
that is
just
a
gonna do
clever
that.
idea, and something that's worth mentioning. If you are just saying, "Hey, I'm gonna, spend as much gold as I have and play as many runs of the Heroic Brawliseum as possible," don't open your packs.
Yeah,
Probably a good
yeah.
plan. Just wait on opening all of the reward packs that you get from Brawliseum if you're spending up all of your gold, and wait until they're higher value packs to open when the mini set comes out if
Yes, absolutely.
that's your angle. So that's clever. I like that.
Thanks. Yeah, yeah. And I did pretty well in the last Heroic Brawliseum. I will say I played a ton of my favorite deck, which Mech Paladin.
Hell yeah.
Love me some Mech Paladin. And honestly, Mech Pally is actually still kind of solid. So I might just try to run that back this time too.
Just
Um,
mech 'em. It'll be
so
great.
yeah.
Mech 'em up.
um, and I went like 6, 12, 6, 9, 3, something else. I don't know. But like that's pretty solid, I think. That it was a pretty good
You had a 12-win run in there. That's
I
awesome.
did. Yeah. And it was pretty early. I think like I said it was like my second run or something. It was the first day that it came out. Of course I posted about it and then it was kind of funny because those times when you're like, "Huh, is this an indication that I made it?" Somebody ended up tagging me on Twitter. Uh, Apparently, somebody after I had posted on Twitter about my run and stuff, somebody tried taking my screenshot and then they like cropped some stuff and then
Oh
they
my
like
god.
reposted it trying to like say that they got 12 wins. And then somebody was like, that looks exactly like Don's post.
Incredible.
Like, yeah. I was like, oh, I made it. Look at that. Like, someone's literally taking my screenshot of my 12 win and
The
posting it as
beautiful
theirs.
you've now arrived
Yeah.
moment.
I was like, huh, all right.
Yeah.
Um, so, I'm not like expecting that I'm going to get 12 wins, but I will say at least I have done it before.
Hmm.
I think in the one, like I guess like two Heroic Brawl CMs ago, I got like a 10 or 11 win. So yeah, people like still on stream today. They're like, "Oh, you have so many packs," because I have like 250 packs or 260 packs or something just like sitting in my game that I haven't opened because a good chunk of those were from those Brawliciums where I just got a bunch of card packs and I was like, I literally don't need these cards.
Nice.
So I had like no reason to do that. And I think I probably could get like somewhere between 60 and 80,000 dust if I did the mass disenchant, which I don't do either. So like I am not a player who really needs the cards or needs the dust or anything. So um I'm
It's
kind of,
a
just like,
it's a Brian Kibler style of things. Dragons hoard things, right? So
that's right. Yeah.
that's
I'm
basically
like,
what
I
you're
don't need
doing
to
there.
open these.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, like, some people are like, I have to open a pack like as soon as I get it. And here I am just like, look at all these. I don't know. Like, I don't even know what these are anymore.
By
Like,
the
I
way,
forget what these are.
have you ever seen Kibler's gold reserves on his stream? Like how much gold
No.
he has?
Mm-mm.
I
No.
Yeah, because his whole shtick is like the dragon army, and so he's always saying like, "Well, dragons hoard gold." He has, I think, not once spent any gold ever in Hearthstone. Because I mean, he's
Oh
got
my
the money to
gosh.
just buy the things instead of
Yeah.
spending gold. So it's it's like well over 100,000 gold or something. I don't know if he hit 200K or something by this point, but just 9 years of accumulating gold naturally over the course of the game and never spending any of it is pretty amazing.
Uh, I spend my gold. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes I might
The
work
rest
up
of
to
us, yeah,
like,
the rest of us spend
yeah.
our gold.
Yeah, I might work myself up to like 7 or 8,000 gold by the time
Right.
expansion comes out. But
Until the next heroic Brawliseum comes around,
yeah,
right? And then you're
yeah.
like,
But
okay.
now I just kind of dump my gold into Heroic Brawl CM because again, like I'm not a player. Like I'm not doing it for the rewards.
Mm,
I love streaming it. I think it's a really cool like content thing that other people. Yeah, it's kind of like some single player games, right? Like some people just they're like, I'm gonna check out some streamers playing this new single player game that just came out,
right.
and then if it's great and I'm really interested, then I might go buy it. But if they're not, gonna buy it for themselves, they'll just watch somebody else play it and get the story or whatever. It's kind of the same thing here, right? Like, they're not going to play in the Heroic Brawl CM, but they might enjoy watching people play the
Yeah.
Heroic Brawl CM and see how well they can do. So I think it's some really cool content. I love doing it, especially the first like day or two. Um, well, it's like the big new thing. I think it starts to lose its appeal a little bit towards the end of the week, but the first 2 days, I would say, are, everyone's like, oh, cool, cool. Let's like check this out.
Also, the
Um,
first 2 days are probably your best bet at having a better run because more players who
yeah.
have a lower potential of, going further in Heroic Brawl are playing on like that first day when they have a little bit of gold available to do it. Um,
Hmm.
Day 5 or
Yeah.
6 of a Heroic Brawl is like full of all the people that have just been playing over and over. The difficulty level
Yeah.
should increase quite a bit. That's where the grinders come out, and it's a lot tougher to succeed there, I bet.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally agree. So yeah, I usually kind of do the first day or two. We'll see if I spend all my gold and then can't do another run. I won't put real money into it. I will say that. I won't do that. But I will spend as much gold as I have to be able to do that. If I can somehow earn myself another 1,000 over the 3 runs, then I'll probably do a fourth one. But yeah, I am looking forward to it. But yeah, for me, it's not. It's more, I guess, kind of relating it to the portrait. It's more of that prestige type thing, right? It's the content. It's I like doing it. It's a temporary, like short term thing that's very different. Even though it's probably still the same decks that I might play on ladder, there's that like it's not just okay, one game, one game, one game,
Right.
okay, or when you're on ladder. Okay, cool. If I win this, I get a star. Yay. It's like if you win, you're like, oh, okay, but like now I'm at 6 wins,
Yep.
and maybe this gets me like more gold, or like maybe
Well,
I get a legendary card or something
I mean,
at the
they've
higher.
posted the exact rewards, which is really
Yeah,
nice. I don't think they used to do that. So you know exactly every time you get another win how much more it meant for you, which is kind
yeah,
of, I don't know, like
it's
that's a
exciting.
thrilling element
Yeah,
to me.
it
Like,
is.
oh, I just went from 5 wins to 6 wins. That means I now have 30 more dust and 30 more gold that I just earned. But if I win again, it's 30 more, and then it's 30 more,
Yeah,
and then it's like 90 more. And oh my
yeah.
god, I'm almost at a golden legendary card, all that
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly. Yeah. So that's another reason like why I like doing it is it's just kind of that real exciting thing where I think for many of us, if I'm not at that like higher top end legend, mm, okay, like winning or losing doesn't really matter. Maybe like getting to legend, right? But like once I'm in legend or like okay, playing a game and then the difference between or even on ladder, right? Like or before legend, the difference between Diamond 2 1 star and Diamond 2 2 stars.
Yeah.
No difference.
I mean, well,
Okay.
when you're working towards that goal, it's a whole different thing. It's like, oh, I really want to hit legend. Okay, now I hit legend. And then, like, the legend number, if you're winning a game and going from, rank 1350 to like 1270 or something, it's like it's like an impossible end in sight to get to like rank 1, if you're trying to get all the way up there, or if you're
Yeah.
lower in the ladder and you lose a game too and you're like, okay, I went from rank 5060 to 5200 and something like that. It doesn't really matter much. Even if you're like in the hundreds or close to top 100, going from 350 to 320 or 350 to 380 or something, there's not really that significant of an outcome. It's only really when you're up at the like way at the top. And when you are way at the top, you go from winning at rank 3 to staying at rank 3 and losing at
Yes.
rank 3 to staying at rank 3,
Yeah.
because you're so many games deep on that. Heroic Brawlseum is definitely one of those things where you absolutely really feel every win and every loss so much more than you do in a typical Hearthstone game mode.
Yeah. Yeah. And you've invested that gold. So it's like, or the real money if you put that in. So there's kind of that higher stakes
Yes.
kind of appeal. So yeah, it's a really interesting thing. I'm excited for it, but yeah, it's just I don't know. I think a lot of the card games, again, as I've mentioned, especially those digital ones, have these kind of things. This is kind of similar to just going and buying in at a local tournament, right?
Hmm.
Paying your 10 or 20 bucks at your local game store
Yep.
or at a convention to buy in, and you bring your one deck, or you do a draft and you have your one deck, and then you just play and see how it goes. So it's very, very similar. So I don't know. It's for me, I'm like, yeah, this is it's kind of a normal
Yeah.
a normal thing for card games.
Yeah, it's a fun time in the cycle though when we get this to roll around. It's always like an exciting thing, and just something that we hope that all players uh, take a very like clear look at what it means for themselves, for their collections, for their plans, for what they want to do in the upcoming few weeks or so, because of the type of investment that this would require if you want to participate. Have your priorities in line first before you make your decisions.
Or just be a total heathen like I am and dump all your gold.
Or that,
Join
either
me.
either way, one of those. Try to be responsible or throw caution to the wind, but now you have hopefully some more information that helps you make your decisions.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And whether you try only one heroic Brawlseum or you play a whole bunch, we would definitely like to hear from you as well. let us know your results. Or if you got something cool, if you're like, hey, I'm gonna just try this once, and even if you earned that 3-win portrait that Ron mentioned, be like, hey, I got this portrait, like, awesome. Because I still think 3 wins in the Heroic Brawlseum is still pretty good
I'm
with
gonna
some
use
of the
that portrait.
competition level.
I'll use the 3-win portrait for sure. I'll put it in the
Yeah,
rotation.
yeah. So let us know. Anything else for this topic before we close out?
No, I think we covered it pretty well.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us this week. We always appreciate everybody hanging out, especially the everyone hanging out in our live chats as well. Love to see the discussions going on as we go through the show. So thank you, thank you. And if you or someone would be interested in joining us, please have them reach out to us, or you reach out. You can email us at tccgroundtable@protonmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter at TCCG Roundtable. You can also check out our top pinned tweet to get into our Discord. We would love to have you in the Discord as well. Jump in there, join in some discussions. I completely spaced to put it in this one, but we did have Heart and Scarf reach out in our Discord. Thank you, Heart, for doing that with an article about some like Pokemon cards and kind of a potential scandal and theft of a bunch of cards and how that kind of affected things. So definitely we'll chat about that at some point. But if there's stuff like that you want to hear us talk about, please reach out to us. That would be amazing. So you could do that in the Discord. And you can also check out our video versions. We have the YouTube version on my YouTube channel, dragonrider TCCG. I've also been streaming live, not only on YouTube, but on my Twitch channel as well, dragonrider TCCG. So you can check us out there. And, everywhere that you listen to audio podcasts, we're there. Once I get them all uploaded. I'm still working on it. But definitely you can listen there as well. And, if you are so inclined, you want to get some awesome gear, some awesome accessories for your card games, check out Inked Gaming. We are affiliated with them there. And, any purchase that you make with our link directly supports us. So get yourself some sweet play mats or card sleeves or something else with that link and help support us. We greatly appreciate that. Now, where can people find you, Ron, if they want to check out you individually?
Me individually, you can find me on Twitter at Ron_HS. You can find me on YouTube at RonMexico HS. And every Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern, you can find me streaming on Twitch at RonMexico HS. What about for you individually, Dragon Rider? Where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter, DonnieDK. That's DAWNIEDK. And as I mentioned, Twitch and YouTube, dragonrider TCCG. And also, if you are interested in Hearthstone specifically, especially Standard, you can also hear me chatting with my other hosts for Standard Hearthstone on the Dr. 3 HS podcast. And that, I think, is going to do it for this week. So again, thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you for listening, and we will see you at the roundtable.